Welcome back to another video. It's been a while since I've done one. The last one I did was on ZZ Top. Great, I love that review. One of my favorites, one of my favorite bands. The next band I'm going to talk about is a band that I grew up with. Late 70s they started their run. Were one of the biggest bands, if not the biggest rock band in the world up until about 84, 85, when their bass player left them, and it took decades for them to come back on a reunion tour. So I'm talking about the Police. Now, the Police, I think this is their opening album. I have all their albums, so I'll be discussing them all. Atlantis Damour came out in 1979, which was heavily influenced by reggae and Bob Marley and the Wailers and the reggae scene. And I think that when people first heard Sting's voice, that falsetto, high-pitched voice, that white bread English voice that people just stopped and listened, and they couldn't believe that the singer was like that, that he had that kind of sound, Roxanne, the way he sang it was just incredible. And this was a great opening album, and I think right out of the gates, you can listen to any Police record, and I got them all. I'll go through them. You can listen to any Police record and not have a dud. They're all really great. Some are better than others, I think, and I certainly have my personal favorites, and I'll get into that. But what a great opening album. Now, Roxanne, when that came out, caused a bit of a stir. Nobody had really heard somebody sing like that, so that was the first thing. But the Police also, in their early days, you could sense that infectious, reggae rhythm in their music, blending the rock and the reggae and a little R&B. And I should say that the talents of this band go beyond Sting's singing, because he's a great singer, not just, the shock of Roxanne, which is an ode to a hooker, by the way. You had other great talents in that band, like Stuart Copeland, the drummer. Absolutely fantastic drummer. That's Stu right there. And the way that he uses the hi-hat was just incredible. So you really had a talented guys in the Police that came out with a fantastic opening album. Roxanne, Can't Stand Losing You. The rest of them are okay, but in general, it was a really good opening album. The next album, Regatta de Blanc. Now, this is where they started to come into their own, I think, a little bit. And this album, Message in a Bottle, Walking on the Moon, you certainly, Walking on the Moon, you can tell that, that really cool, infectious reggae groove. And this is an album that I haven't listened to in a while, but I think I should, because I do enjoy it. After this album came my favorite, and that's Zenyatta Madonna. And I actually have two versions of that record. I've got the standard pressing, and I've also got an audiophile pressing, which, I don't know, it just kind of accentuates the pips and pops, really. But Zenyatta Madonna, for me, is the Police at their finest, at their most melodic, infectious, groovy. You really sing along with a lot of songs on this album. Don't Stand So Close to Me, Driven to Tears. Driven to Tears, if you want to hear what I'm talking about with respect to Stuart Copeland's drumming, a criminally underrated drummer, Stuart Copeland. If you're a drummer, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you're not a drummer, listen to Driven to Tears. One of the best songs on this album, one of their best songs ever. When the World is Running Down, You Make the Best of What's Still Around. What a great title, and what a great song. Da do 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 da 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 da. What else? Bombs Away. It's a really great album, and I think that for me, this is where the Police reached their zenith. Was on this one. Now, that's not to say there isn't great music coming up, because the next one is called Ghost in the Machine, and I think that this is where the Police really started to have a following. Like, when I'm talking to following, I'm talking like a massive, millions of fans type following, because Ghost in the Machine garnered one of their best hits, and that was Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic, one of my dad's favorite songs, one of my favorite songs from theirs. But Spirits in Material World, is another fantastic one off this album. But it wasn't until the next one that they hit the stratosphere. I would say that this next one, most people will say it's their best. It's their favorite. Certainly an argument can be made, and I'm not going to say it's not, but Synchronicity, this really typified the 1980s for me. In terms of its sound, it blended so many interesting sounds that the decade had to offer, and it offered them up in such a unique way, with the voice of Sting, with the reggae background, but also with this beautiful melodic kind of haunting type of writing by Sting. And what am I talking about? Spirits in the Material World, that was in the last one. But in Synchronicity, Walking in Your Footsteps, Every Breath You Take, that's iconic, right? That's a great song. King of Pain, Wrapped Around Your Finger, and Tea in the Sahara. All of side 2 on this, absolutely fantastic. Wrapped Around Your Finger is another song that just really typifies what the Police were at this time in their career. Now, why did they self-destruct? Well, quite simply because Sting had enough. He wanted to do his own thing. You could tell that Sting's ego, perhaps, and I haven't read as much into this as I should, but I think that he was doing film, he was doing his own music, and I think enough was enough. And the Police to him was a stepping stone. Which left the band in the lurch. How do you replace, a vocalist like Sting? Not to mention, a songwriter and a lyricist. Anyway, Sting went on to do really amazing stuff. Desert Rose, classic song. I love that song. And he's teamed up with a lot of great artists. There's a song I just actually downloaded called Sad Trombone. He teams up with Shaggy and does a really great song. Sad Trombone, check it out. Now, the Police for me, if you look at all of those albums and all the songs on those albums, you've got a lot of great music. I was fortunate enough to see the Police on their reunion tour, which probably would have been about 2007, 2008, Vancouver, where I am, it was the first date on that tour. And it was one of the most highly anticipated tours in rock and roll history because the Police broke up at their height, at their zenith. Maybe that was for a good thing. Maybe they couldn't get better than Synchronicity. It would take a lot to do that. But I was fortunate enough to see them, and I got great seats right beside the stage, and it was a blast. It was a lot of fun. They are a very talented threesome, and I'm probably not telling you a lot of what some of you don't already know, but the Police their music is really, really great. The evolution of their music is really great. If you listen to, one of their early records compared to Synchronicity, you'll find quite a difference, quite a maturity in their music. And I really love that. I love the journey that the Police took in their music. For each stage of their career, they did something that was really, really special. And as I said, I could listen to all these albums, first track to last, and not be bored at all because it's really fantastic stuff. My old man used to crank it a lot in the house when I was a kid, and it stuck with me. I do love putting the needle down to Police, especially if you get a chance. Listen to the entire album Zenyatta Madonna. That is a really, really great album. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed. I don't know who's up next, but I'm going to start doing these videos a little more frequently now because there's some bands that I really want to get to that I've got a lot to talk about. So hope you're all doing well, and we'll see you next time. Peace.